pull you off and go down the wrong track when you know what the right road is, but because you're feeling that peer pressure. Who wants to tackle that one first? Go ahead.
Man, I grew up in the same situation, man. I grew up around friends who, was gang banging, who was in a drug situation. And man, one of the things that I did, man, I had to realize what was more important, all right? Are my friends, what they doing with the gang banging and drugs, is that going to help me get to where I need to be? Or is that going to help me fail to where I don't need to be? And I had to make that distinction, man. Sometimes, let me tell you, I had my grandmother told me, everybody can't go where you're going. So you need to understand that everybody, man, if your goals are here, bro, and that means you got to let go of your boys who've been your boys for your lifetime, then you got to let them go because you got something that you got to do. So that's for anybody out there. If you got boys that you're scared to talk to, let me tell you something. You need to open your mouth and let them know, look, Doc, this is what I'm about to do with my life. What you going to do? You can either follow me or stay where you're going to stay. You got to separate yourself, Doc.
Go ahead. Anybody else want to tackle that in terms of peer pressure? How you guys handle peer pressure? Yes, sir, Commander?
What Mr. Weaver just talked about there is called leadership. You stepping out and being a leader versus being a follower. You set the pace, you set the tone. If they ain't down with you, fine. You find your own set and you roll with them. You be the leader. Don't follow them. You let them follow you. You set the example.
No, I think at the same time, you gotta set that tone early, like you said. Don't start doing the bad things with them at first and be like, all right, I don't want to do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Set the tone early. Because I had a lot of friends who were involved with that, and I'm still cool with them today. But from an early point in my life, they knew I wasn't about that. So as I grew older, they knew, what's up, how y'all doing? We can hang out, at school, whatever. But when it's time for me to handle my business, they knew to get away from me. So just establish that, foundation early on.
Hey, before we move to the next question, let me just add to that. During the interview that I was blessed to have with Michael Vick, and we talked a lot off camera before the interview, and it's to the point about peer pressure. And he's acknowledged it publicly how he didn't step up because a number of his boys tried to keep him going down one track, and he knew that it was the wrong track. So he didn't step up. And what I can share, because we didn't show it in the 60 Minutes piece, Michael had mentioned when I went to visit him during home detention that one of the co-defendants on trial with him had sent somebody over to the house to try to see if they could re-engage and become friends and say, hey, look here, Mike, I'm a barber, so anytime you need your haircut, look, I just come and welcome you back in the whole 9 yards. So Mike stood there and he just listened to him and heard him. And then Michael's response, and unfortunately he had to learn the hard way, but he deserves a second chance big time. What Michael said was, hey, look, I hear you coming by. Tell such and such, I'm surprised that you're coming by here trying to re-engage me in this. And by the way, I already have a bar. So the point is, he had to learn the hard way. Peer pressure, if they're not talking about the right route to go, you know better. They'll respect you later for standing up and going a separate route, even if you have to go by yourself, then head down the wrong track. And Michael certainly will speak to that as well.